Welcome to Creative Masterpiece 2 of 9. Is an idea going to work? In this lesson, we're going to work on your skill of judgment. Can I predict if something is a good idea? And can I make it work better? In the whole series, we look at the ideas of iTunes and the App Store of the iPhone from different angles. But this time, we're going to go deeper on 3 parts of the idea. Not only to understand how it's supposed to work, we will judge how well it will work and if it makes sense. This is great to work on your own ideas, but also if someone teaches you something, you can reason, will it work? Does it make sense? The first part of the idea that we're going to look at is the win-win of the iTunes and the App Store. We'll judge if those were good ideas. When Apple decided to use the cellular phone as a point-of-sales device, with music, that was iTunes. With software, the App Store. The first complication is there are 3 parties involved in both. Not just 2. Apple, the customer, and also the music and app publishers. But are they naturally a win-win? What is hard and what is easy? For software apps, Apple plays a part of the retail store. But with automation, their margins can be smaller. So both the app publisher and the customer can win. But can the win be increased? The App Store rating feature gives recommendations and ratings, an additional value to the customer. The pricing model lets the publisher get revenue at installation, or install free and charge for items within the game, a valuable model for some publishers. The iPhone platform discouraged bootleg or borrowed software. This would be valuable to increase sales. So this is how you can increase the win-win of an idea. What about iTunes and music? This is a more difficult one to create a win-win. Since Napster file sharing opened up music piracy, the consumer would need to be encouraged to pay something rather than nothing. How could this be converted to a win for the customer? What about not having a physical CD? Doesn't that require some trust that your music will be available in the future? And for the music publisher who was reeling over music piracy, could they be convinced that you can help them by licensing their music to you at a lower rate than CD? This was helped somewhat by basing it on the humble model of the iPod music player, rather than the iPhone. Would their music rights be more safe from piracy with Apple? Would it be successful enough to be worth the effort? On the surface, iTunes does not look like a win-win, but with careful execution, it was quite a success. Maybe there was no other good solution to piracy than what Apple was offering. As Apple grew, they became more capable to deliver without a rival in the area, and they stayed committed to this model. Offering and encouraging legal music would appeal to a segment of the market. The music industry would be saved, with music players again predominantly supporting legal music. There may be other reasons, but what a way to convert a non-win-win plan to a win-win, one with skill and motivation. This appreciation of the artistry of this win-win is part of your reward for understanding the workings of ideas. The second part deals with holding your best ideas in reserve, delaying it for the right time. So when is the right time? Fred Hoare was a top 100 PR person, and his secret sauce was timing. The proper timing maximizes the effect of the messages, not too early and not too late. The tendency is to list all the good features immediately, but the messages crowd each other. If it's already an emotional high, there's nowhere for the additional excitement to go. It's a more enjoyable ride if there's a period of excitement and recovery before the next phase of excitement, perhaps building a new height, just a little higher. How unique was this to keep the App Store idea in reserve after the iPhone was launched? Have you ever seen a company besides Apple do something similar, holding such a significant feature in reserve for a year? It's not often seen in products, but more common in performances. Think of the magic show, with multiple surprises in the same trick, or a concert where the band's most famous songs are held in reserve for a finale or an encore. There are other examples. The 1999 Toy of the Year, Pooh Chat Pals, by Mattel had shipped as Pooh and Tigger. Piglet was held in reserve, but all Piglet's games shipped embedded in the original 2 toys at Christmas 1999. A lot of products have Easter eggs, but reserved features with such significance seem to be rare. Or maybe I'm just not aware of them, even though that's the best execution of a product. There are some reasons that it doesn't usually happen. If you delay your best selling points, is your product successful without them? And does your product survive long enough to get to the good stuff? The iPhone initially sold on the beauty of its design, without public knowledge of the App Store feature. What product can duplicate this launch success without one of its main features? Are you in control of the public narrative enough to set the stage for the launch of your hidden feature? The magician has control of his show, but the public adoption and the opinion of a product runs wild, as parts of the public run ahead of other parts. So coordinating and setting the stage for a second release, as well as getting the public attention, is not a trivial task. And did I mention that secrecy may be necessary to have the most effective release? How do you get the public attention while keeping it secret in advance? Who can do this? And there is some risk. It is risky being this fancy. Several steps must work well, and there may be no reasonable backup plan. This requires some certainty in your abilities and commitment to the plan. Holding back a great feature in reserve is pretty tricky execution, but a strong effect. Admire and enjoy this. Maybe try it yourself when the stakes are lower, in a performance or a presentation. The third part of the idea that we will look at is the longevity of the App Store. Why did iTunes and the App Store have longevity beyond other Apple marketing ideas before them? Campaigns based on personalization and styling can be strong, but fade quickly. Customers want the next car, the next phone, the next fashion in about a year. Certainly there is something new in 2 years. So how do you not tire of iTunes and the App Store? That is the key of the longevity. A cellular phone as a point of sales device makes it a portal to new experiences. That is good business fundamentals. It is forever renewed. The model tends to work until it is superseded by a better model. So where did it come from? eBay. eBay was using internet as a point of sales device. Note that iTunes and the App Store did not replace eBay, but were analogous to eBay. Have they been superseded yet? In over 20 years, iTunes has not. With success, there is increased strength. With the successful adoption of iTunes, there is an increased amount of music content, increased quality, and the partnership of trust that the music will be retained for users for a long time, that the music will not escape and be shared easily. The iPhone customers tend to be good ones that want an affordable luxury. Any copy of the model would take second place for a long time. The App Store is similarly going strong. Within the store, there is an infinite dimension for the app publisher's creativity and flexible model to monetize their app. Perhaps the biggest threat is the natural evolution of the market. Can the model support the evolution? There was an initial gold rush of apps, quickly maturing to commodity. Larger investments in gaming development, free-to-play models, and individuals producing significant free apps, new game categories, internationalization of markets and publishers, and emergence of artificial intelligence. The model seems to be going strong. The iPhone is the de facto standard for phone apps, giving the iPhone infinite utility in this dimension, and therefore tremendous value to the customer. With your understanding, you could admire the longevity of the ideas of iTunes and the App Store. Pretty unique. With this understanding, when you break down ideas into functional parts, you can identify and admire unique parts, ones that are particularly strong, use innovative techniques, or seem to go against the win-win. You will find some teams of unique skills are able to generate a win-win where most others are not. You will see ideas that are not strong in all ways, but seem to thrive in a new category. This understanding opens up a new world. In the next lesson, we will see how to apply one of these understandings to the outside world to further our mastery of the skill. See you again soon.